Columbo usually nabbed the bad guys, but Peter Falk had his own issues. He drank and smoked 3 packs a day while filming his renowned role. Everyone in Hollywood knew his relationships. After 16 years, his first wife called for divorce. Saddest part, it grew worse with his kids. When he had Alzheimer's in 2008, his daughter needed court permission to visit for 30 minutes. But what we'll show you is more exciting. Look out. Peter Falk was born in Bronx in 1927. Russian-born, his family was from Eastern Europe, Hungary, and Bohemia. Dad had a business. Mother worked with numbers. The Great Depression was terrible. Falks had to leave the city for something cheaper. Like many others, Peter's preschool teacher noticed anything weird at 3 years old. His head twisted oddly to look. That small thing revealed her life-changing eye cancer diagnosis. Doctors worked fast. Within 2 days, they removed his right eye. Lifelong glass eye. His distinctive appearance became famous. That was only the start. Many youngsters would have quit. Peter didn't. He was confident, humorous, and determined as a youngster. His family relocated to Ossining, a tiny village near New York City, when he was 6. The town was notable for Sing Sing prison. Peter frequently sold garments to convicts in jail alongside his dad. Got near to criminals. He played basketball with jail teams. Among the convicts, Piggy Sands stood out, skilled, fast, and tough. Later, when Peter portrayed police or robbers in movies and TV, it all came back. Peter was easily spotted at Oceaning High. Vice president for 1 year, class president for 3. He was brilliant, humorous, and liked. Despite wearing an artificial eye, he performed sports. He needed tenacity to play baseball and basketball. He assumed he was safe when called out at third base. He showed everyone his glass eye and presented it to the referee. He said this would be simpler. Everyone in the room laughed. That revealed much about him. They didn't hide from him. He joked with them. Every branch of the service rejected him for World War II after high school due to his sight. Then he escaped. Commercial Navy cared less about sight. He joined in 1945 as a cook. He sailed for 18 months. The assumption that only the skipper needed to see aboard a ship was mocked. The Titanic captain struggled with that. After then, his path was crooked. The month-long Hamilton College student dropped out after 1 week. Way too serious. Too few gals and fun. He fled and almost joined the Israeli army in 1948 when they were fighting for liberation. Did not have political significance. He craved excitement. He found a Manhattan underground club assisting Americans join the army. He commanded a ship. However, the fighting ended after 8 days. The plan vanished instantly. Interest drove Falk to cross lines. He toured Europe after the war, after quitting the Merchant Marine. Communist Yugoslavia employed him as a train laborer for 6 months. It was different from everything he knew, but that made it worthwhile. Not yet. He didn't want fame. He wanted experience. He tried again in college. Wisconsin University was his first destination. He returned to Hamilton and subsequently to the New York School. He earned his literature and politics degrees in 1951 in Greenwich Village. He was a dreamer thinker. After completion, he traveled to Paris with a female. That's Peter Falk overall. Always pursuing, unthinking. His life improved in 1953. SUNY awarded him a master's in public administration. Though he wanted to work for the government, he eventually changed his mind. He sought to join the CIA. Due to his union membership and cooking experience, they rejected him. A communist group was engaged, but Falk wasn't. Still, that closed the door. Because of this, he became a budget expert in Connecticut. It angered him. He had no idea where the office was on his first day. While a mathematician by day, he began performing at night. He enjoyed performing in a community theatrical organization. He was untaught, not sure whether he was good enough. But something worked. Famous acting teacher Ava Le Gallienne began teaching him. He lied about being an actress to get into her class. One day she informed him he was late. His claim was true. His performance was poor. That time she said, "Well, you should be." That one phrase changed his life. He left government. He resides in Greenwich Village. Peter Falk became an actor with a word of recommendation. He lost his right eye to cancer at 3. Many feared it would prevent Falk from performing, but he didn't care. A neighborhood theatrical company called the Mark Twain Maskers had cast him in productions. He bravely went all in after those little steps after acting in The Crucible and the court-martial of the Caine Mutiny. The 1950s art scene was vibrant in Greenwich Village. Artistic mess. Falk wanted to attend. Falk studied acting while working in Hartford. He got joined a Westport group headed by famed actress Ava Legullian. They were her sole students. Falk wasn't. He lied to get in and drove 70 miles weekly to school. He was often late. One day Lullian inquired why. Working in Hartford, he said she wondered how he made a living acting there. She stared at him and responded, "Well, you should be," when he stated he wasn't an amateur. Everything changed after that phrase. She suggested he talk to a William Morris acquaintance before he went. Sanford Misner, a top U.S. acting teacher, taught Falk. He relied on honesty and heart. Falk would do these talents for years. Falk had his debut New York concert in January 1956. It was Don Juan at 4th Street Theater. The program started poorly with a one-night run. He appeared in The Iceman Cometh at Circle in the Square by May. Jason Robards starred in the drama. It was seen. Falk debuted on Broadway in November with Diary of a Scoundrel. Even after 3 weeks, he proved his worth on stage. He ended 1956 at St. Joan with Chobun McKenna. That one was good till January 1957. Was a government worker for a year before appearing in Broadway plays. Film was tougher to climb. He told Falk, for the same price, I can get an actor with 2 eyes. When Falk joined Columbia Pictures, most would quit after hearing that, but Falk continued. He had a brief role in Nicholas Ray's 1958 picture Wind Across the Everglades. He got to work on a movie set despite his little role. The 1959 American film, The Bloody Brood, cast him as a beatnik murderer. Not thrilling, yet it enriched his experience. Meanwhile, he was making waves on TV. His large variety shows were Kraft Television Theater, Studio One, and Robert Montgomery Presents from 1957. He tried out for Marjorie Morningstar but didn't get it. The film industry wasn't sold on him. Murder, Inc. followed in 1960. Falk played Abe Riles, a police officer. 9 days were spent on the cheap film. Falk wore thrifted clothes. The persona was based on terrible characters he saw at a pool club as a kid. It was thrilling. Falk appeared innocent until he brought out an ice pick, according to the New York Times. Surprised by his abrupt coolness, many stopped to gaze. Falk was nominated for an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor despite the film's low budget and advertising. He competed with Spartacus and The Apartment Stars. Being nominated was important. Even though he lost, the film business eventually noticed. Falk was nominated that year. He became the first actor nominated for both an Oscar and an Emmy in 1961. The next year, he repeated in 1961. Peter Falk experienced a bizarre encounter. He sought his second Oscar for Best Supporting Actor in Pocket Full of Miracles. He was initially nominated for Murder, Inc. a year earlier. You should have been proud of that alone. Now comes the insanity. He was nominated for an Emmy that year. He repeated this for 2 years. That was unprecedented for an actor. A struggling show was at the center. Frank Capra later remarked that filming the film was horrible, but Falk was the one nice thing. Capra stated Falk helped him forget his fatigue and desire to murder Glenn Ford. He reshot a sequence to see Falk's performance again. The film made Anne Margaret famous. She created history with her cinematic debut. Falk wasn't simply distinctive because of his awards. It was his dedication to every component. His bosses claimed he worked insane. Falk began in 1962 after the Dick Powell Theater garnered an Emmy and 2 Oscar nominations. He played and became roles. 3 weeks as a police officer preceded his acting career. He watched overnight. He wanted a detailed childhood narrative for a character who appeared only 14 minutes in The Great Race. He shed 18 pounds in 2 weeks for a 1964 role. He declined painkillers after a work injury. He believed actual agony would improve them. His attention followed him off camera. He played a movie role so long in 1967 that his co-star Julie Harris asked to have lunch elsewhere. It was too much for her. Falk acted in TV and movies from 1961 to 1967, even while playing characters. He originally appeared on Robert Montgomery Presents and Kraft Television Theater in the late 1950s. In 1961, he was nominated for an Emmy for The Law and Mr. Jones and Target. He and Walter Matthau opened the film. He portrayed a Twilight Zone eccentric king. Besides playing a terrifying mobster and a false preacher on Alfred Hitchcock's program, he accomplished other things. He played a man who had to save his sibling or drive a wagon in Wagon Train. He landed roles in important films like It's a Mad, 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 Mad World and The Great Race. He became the first person to win an Emmy and an Oscar in 1962. Behind the scenes, things were harder. People began to believe Falk was a hassle. Directors reported he argued over lines, camera settings, doors, and more. Due to a misaligned door, he required 37 takes of a basic entry in one film. He and director Edward Dmytrix fought over Anzio so badly that they needed help talking. Some directors prepared for Falk's 1966 contract changes, which produced pandemonium. One director said, "You put up with hell because what you see on screen is heaven." Others disagreed. Several managers no longer work with him. In 1968, things changed. He became Lieutenant Columbo on February 20th by wearing a damp jacket. No one expected him to play the role. Writers wanted Bing Crosby to sing. To avoid missing golf, Crosby declined. Falk played Columbo after two others. First in person 1962, then on TV 1960. Although director Richard Irving proposed Falk, the authors were unsure what to do. They believed he was too young, but Falk said he would do anything to portray that officer. He played Columbo for 35 years because he enjoyed it. Falk regarded the figure. He had that old raincoat. Due to excessive use, it broke after 25 years and had to be replaced. Falk made Columbo look like a passerby. He was mistaken for a homeless guy in one moment, which worked well. Suspects always thought less of him. The trick was that they saw a disheveled, uncomfortable person. Despite the poor hairdo and cheap cigarettes, the brain was brilliant. Nothing was named for his dog. It was just dog. The phrase "just one more thing that wasn't planned" followed. It was inserted hurriedly when authors reworked the scene. Columbo was advised to ask one more question to avoid typing the page again. Nothing moved. Falk turned it into a gun. Something happened after the suspects believed they were safe. It got so famous that Falk wrote about it in his memoirs. Columbo was recognized for more than that line. The show revolutionized everything with its flair. Most crime episodes were whodunit. You had no notion who killed them. However, Columbo viewers witnessed the murder immediately. Seeing Columbo figure it out kept us wondering. Who did it didn't matter. How he would capture them. This program, a How Catch 'Em, concentrated on smart details. Shoelaces, automobile air conditioners, and leftover caviar. It looked more like chess than a pursuit. Even though you knew what would happen, watching was exhilarating. You may see Peter Falk in several roles. He got famous. His role as Columbo made him a TV legend. He won 4 Primetime Emmys in 1972, 1975, 1976, and 1990. He received a 1973 Golden Globe. Strangest thing about all, this was the first year an actor was nominated for both an Emmy and an Oscar. He repeated that unusual double 2 times, 1961 and 1962. He earned $250,000 every Columbo program by 1976. Today that's about $1.3 million per concert. The TV pay was finest at the time. Why? NBC didn't want him gone. In the 1930s, Columbo had strong Nielsen ratings. Advertisers paid a lot. Everyone wants in on Columbo. Even after years, love remained. In 1996, TV Guide called Falk the 21st greatest TV star. They later named Columbo the ninth greatest TV figure. Murder by the Book was directed by young Steven Spielberg in 1971. That episode was 16th on their 100 greatest list. Columbo has fantastic villains. Playing a killer on the program was an honor, not just any actor. 5 stars have only portrayed multiple killers. Patrick McGoohan did it 4 times. Rob Culp did 3. Jack Cassidy, George Hamilton, and William Shatner followed. The 4 killers McGoohan portrayed were Nelson, Oscar, Colonel Rumford, and Eric. Culp played a murderer who used subliminal images to mislead people into murdering him in one episode. This 1973 photo was in depth. The program regularly paired big gorgeous celebs as killers against grimy trenchcoat-wearing Columbo. Smarts always trumped glitz. Rich and powerful elite versus poor guy. With this setup, Columbo was more than a criminal program. It became a class statement. Behind the scenes, chaos reigned. Falk fought NBC. Showmakers didn't want Columbo in the opening 20 minutes of a program. NBC disliked the proposal. They disliked Columbo's unseen wife too. Both Falk and the creative team announced their resignation. Nothing calmed down thereafter. Falk hired someone to protect him in 1973 because he was frightened about losing control of the program. Secretly writing screenplays was required. Falk would still receive early choices. Falk would have long, passionate chats when directors pushed him too much. The gruff noises evoked gangster movies. Did their job, executives retreated. He quit, claiming illness, when they wouldn't let him direct. Finally, they gave up. He ran Blueprint for Murder in 1971. All that power cost something. NBC was fed up by 1978. Falk requested additional money. Budgets grew. Show canceled. Falk was daring even without Columbo. Paramount Cafeteria was where they met in 1967. Director John Cassavetes was independent. Cassavetes imagined 3 pals going wild when one dies. That became Spouses in 1970. But money ran short. Stars like Falk donated over $1 million to make it happen. Falk was unaccustomed to Cassavetes' laid-back manner. Falk commented, "I have no idea what he's talking about." But they figured it out. Falk led A Woman Under the Influence in 1974. He played a working-class guy struggling with his mentally ill wife. 2 Oscars went to that film. The feminist Betty Friedan praised males. In 1971, she told the New York Times that men were likewise stranded, lonely, disoriented, and seeking meaningful connection. Falk also won big with jokes. The In-Laws debuted in 1979. Production cost $9 million, but it grossed $38.2 million. As Vince Ricardo, a bizarre CIA agent, he made difficulty for his future-in-law, Alan Arkin, a neurotic dentist. People still talk about Falk yelling serpentine, while Arkin dodges fake gunfire. Critics adored them together. They were compared to the makers, but better. The movie was so popular that the CIA presented it to new agents at training camp. It was inferior than the 2003 version. First one remained standard. He then played a milder part. In The Princess Bride, 1987, Falk recited a fairy story to his ailing grandchild. Revenue was $30.9 million. Though little at the time, it became a cult classic. Falk's voice was intelligent and kind. He said "as you wish" with charm and affection. His scenes give the film heart. Falk's rough, sweet voice kept things intriguing, according to Roger Ebert. Later, the National Film Registry of the U.S. preserved the film. Falk had done drama, comedy, and directing by now. Some reports say he secretly directed other series and directed additional Columbo episodes. He sometimes took hundreds of takes to perfect a sentence. Years passed and his compensation increased. Columbo returned in 1989, earning $600,000 each concert. He considered making Columbo's Last Case as his final film. Though uninterested, the network would begin at the detective's retirement party. Falk's health declined. One part of him that was always curious and never happy lingered. That aspect of Peter Falk that made Columbo squint, bend his head, and exclaim, "One more thing." He never gave up on the tale. Peter Falk had much going for him. Acting, money, celebrity, honors. Everyone recognized Lieutenant Columbo from the film. However, that handsome, disheveled investigator had suffered much anguish, betrayal, and hardship. Finally, marrying Alice Mayo in 1960 started it. He pursued her for 12 years. After falling in love, they married and adopted Catherine and Jackie. Falk was nominated for an Oscar that year. Outside, everything appeared fine, but cracks were appearing. Falk played a dedicated and gentle investigator on TV, but his actual life was completely different. On most film sets, he chased ladies. Crew members privately gambled on his next flirt. While married to Alice, he started dating 22-year-old Shara Danis. She wasn't alone. Falk dated multiple women simultaneously, sometimes in separate locales. Hollywood insiders weren't surprised. Everyone discovered his infidelity. His fate wasn't over. Falk was a heavy drinker and smoker. 3 packets daily. Lunched on vodka. Stage fights. It took him an hour to light cigarettes every hour. He was terrible for directors. He demanded rewrites, fought over camera settings, and hindered and cost more every production. Studios liked his abilities but disliked his troublemaking. By 1976, some were scared to hire him. Home life was horrible. She worked for 16 years to save the marriage. She took care of their daughters and didn't discuss his business. She finished in 1975. Alice couldn't tolerate Falk's public dating of Shara Danis. She requested a divorce in 1976. No big deal, just farewell. Although she received the house and support, she never publicly criticized him. To please their daughter, she was courteous. However, Falk earned $250,000 every Columbo episode. He spent less time with his kids as his reputation developed. He spent weeks away from 1971 to 1976. That year, his older daughter Catherine sued him for not paying for her Syracuse college. Despite being wealthy over $5 million by 1975, he went to court with her. Their romance ended. Not a year after his divorce, he married Shara in December 1977, making things worse. Shara was 1970 Miss Pennsylvania World. She was gorgeous and ambitious. Their marriage lasted 33 years, surprising everyone. It was full of conflicts, tension, and separation. Falk also deteriorated with age. Falk published Just One More Thing, his autobiography, in 2006. It was honest, humorous, and messy like him. Not following a plan. He told tales solely. He lost his eye to childhood cancer. To become an actress took 12 years of effort. Celebrity buddies like John Cassavetes. Falk spoke for himself, but things changed swiftly. The 2007 dental surgery reduction seemed sudden. He was diagnosed with Alzheimer's in 2008. A legal case followed. Catherine, his daughter, requested household management in 2009. She stated Shara prevented her from visiting her dad. Catherine merely wanted money, Shara stated. Both parties accused each other in court. Catherine recalled her dad sending her several postcards. She stated Shara closed the door in her face this time. Falk's attorneys countered with his journal, which stated he hadn't spoken to Catherine in years. The judge attempted to be fair. Shara was in charge, but Catherine could only visit every other month for 30 minutes. Falk didn't recall her since his head was twisted up. My heart burst. The actor who portrayed a heartfelt detective forgot his daughter. After that last blow, he died at 83 on June 23, 2011. To pneumonia and Alzheimer's ended a promising life. Catherine wasn't called, texted, or hugged. She heard about it on the news like everyone else. Everyone was depressed. Spielberg called him great. Robin Williams called him one of the greatest comedians. However, the silence hurt more than words. Again, just him and his girls.